Hello, welcome to Walk in the Park. My name is Tony Ingraham, and this is the first episode of the year 2018. Episode number 183, actually, January 3rd. So if you want to see all of my shows, you can go to my video blog, walkinthepark.tv, and look them all up. This one will be up online there, so people can watch it online, as well as on Channel 13, public access television in Ithaca, New York. You can also see our lineup of shows at pegasus.webstarts.com, pegasus.webstarts.com. And if you want to become you can check out our Facebook page too. We have posted a lot of stuff there, news about episodes and things going on, and also sometimes links to the actual shows online right there. So this is your voice, as it says. A public access means that you can come down to the station, and every month we have trainings for people to get to use the equipment, become certified producers, and produce your own show. So this is all part of the cable fee that you pay with television, or if you don't, if you're a resident in the area, Ithaca area, in the areas that are participating, Ithaca, town of Ithaca, city of Ithaca. And anyway, public access television, community controls, community media is a great thing. So today we're going to talk about parks. Walk in the Park is the name of the show. And this time we're going to talk about state parks and what's going on. Maybe we'll have a little time to talk about what's going on in federal parks, national parks, that sort of thing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what's called the New York State 2020 Plan, Parks 2020 Plan. This was started about 3 years ago. Governor Andrew Cuomo unveiled a 7-point framework of the New York Parks 2020 Plan that will leverage approximately $900 million in public and private funding to modernize the state park system. Badly needing. As a person who worked for the state parks for many years, I know how many things were deferred. New York Parks 2020 was previewed in the governor's opportunity agenda. The plan is part of a multi-year commitment since 2011 to restore facilities, enhance visitor experiences, update signage, and create better access for tourists at parks across the state. Many different things going on. That was from a press release in 2015. So I decided to find out what's going on that way, what's planned for New York State Parks for the Finger Lakes region right here. So I got in touch with Fred Bonn, who is the regional director of the Finger Lakes State Parks, and he's located up at Teganic Falls State Parks. There it is right there. The regional headquarters is in that park. I worked there for like 24 years. And so anyway, we're going to talk to Fred Bonn. I talked to him this morning on the phone, actually, and recorded our conversation about what's going on for 2018 with this New York Parks 2020 plan. And also a look back at 2017 and some of the accomplishments. So let's go to that. Our conversation with Fred Bonn at Finger Lakes State Parks. Coming right up here. Take a moment to cue it up.
Here in the Finger Lakes region of New York State Parks, we've got several exciting projects that will be wrapping up in 2018 that have been part of the Parks 2020 program that Governor Cuomo has been so supportive of, and the legislature, and just it's great to see the ongoing investment. The big project, the most visible project for the region, will be the opening probably May, June, of the main entrance at Watkins Glen State Park. And this is our #1 visited facility in the region. We're approaching 1 million visitors a year, and we've completely reimagined and re-landscaped what had been a asphalt parking lot, and we've turned that into green space and interpretation, so we can improve the experience at the park so significantly. We've got a number of great playground projects where we're going to be replacing or rehabilitating playgrounds at state parks across the region, and those are always fun to see kids out on the swing sets and families gathering and mommy groups gathering. So really a great addition to the region there.
Are they similar to the ones that have already been put in place by park crews?
Correct. In some cases, that work is being conducted by park crews. In some cases, we'll be doing a couple of them under contract. But we're trying to replace some of the wooden structures. There's still a handful of wooden structures out there. We want to replace those with the more durable structures, the metal structures. And in some cases, there's some metal structures that are starting to age out. But there's going to be a great new playground up at Cayuga Lake State Park. Really excited to see kids playing on that. And then going down the list, another great project for us will be building a bridge at Lower Robert Tremont State Park, and this will allow access to the campgrounds and to the cabins, the CCC era cabins. Unfortunately, we're going to have to decommission that Fordway that's been so popular all these years, but there'll still be the Fordway at Buttermilk, so people can still have that thrill of driving through water. But at Tremont, we've had a couple of situations where, due to high water, it's been challenging to handle campers and some emergency evacuation in the park. And this bridge will allow us both extended access in the winter months to that part of the park, as well as provide better safety for campers at Robert Tremont.
Yeah, I've seen the water get really high there and impossible to cross. In fact, that happened last spring when we had our I Love My Park Day there. The water was really high, and we had to come in from Route 13.
Yep, and that's not a safe way to get in and out of the park. It's a blind corner, and people are really starting to accelerate to get up the hill into Newfield. So that's again, it's sad to see the loss of the Fordway, but I think for the overall safety of the park and for the park experience, it's a good improvement. Another great project that people can see, it's under construction right next to the Hangar Theater, is a solar installation. So it's phase 2 of a solar installation at Alan H. Tremont State Marina. And you can see the groundwork that's being prepped up, and we'll be putting up a new series of solar panels there as part of our goal for energy sustainability. So really excited to get that one going too.
Yeah, I've seen the ones that are already there. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
and it just really is, I think if we keep moving forward, our hope is that we'll be able to come up with some of our facilities with the solar installations and the energy savings programs that we have with LED lights and on-demand water heaters, that we can come up with making Alan H. Tremont a net neutral energy park.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We've got some exciting developments that are taking place with some planning. We're doing some planning for Taganic Falls State Park and Sonnenberg Gardens. Finishing up some work with Sampson State Park and some planning there. So it's going to be a pretty exciting 2018 for the Finger Lakes State Park region.
What about things that happened last year, like Fillmore Glen? You redid the pavilion there, right?
Yeah, so last year we completed it. Last year was probably one of our biggest construction seasons of all time. So Fillmore Glen that you mentioned, there's a beautiful, beautiful pavilion that we completed rehabilitation on in the lower part of the park. And if people haven't been over to see that, it's something that the community is very proud of, that we here at Parks are really, really happy about. It's a huge center for the Moravia community. Up at Fairhaven Beach State Park, we rehabilitated the 4 bathhouses, 2 men's, 2 women's, on the east and the west beach. Installed energy energy efficient solar systems and redid all of the plumbing and the fixtures in the two bathhouses. That was a great. Despite having all the high water from Lake Ontario, we were able to get that project done on time and on budget. So that went quite well. And the big introduction last year were the full service cottages at Sampson State Park, the lakefront cottages, the 10 lakefront cottages at Sampson State Park.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those were also part of the Parks 2020 program.
Right. The project at the Overlook at Teganic, which is done now, was that part of Parks 2020?
It was done as part of one of the earlier years of Parks 2020. That's correct.
Yeah, that was completed a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, on
that
time
was
flies.
completed. Let me think. Fall of 2016. Fall of 2016. That was completed, and then they started operating spring of 2017 with the Convention and Visitors Bureau having an information area set up there.
And what is Parks 2020?
Well, Parks 2020 is now part of the governor's overall capital program for New York State. And it's an annual investment that the governor, it's in his budget, and it's supported with by the legislature of at least $90 million annually in capital improvements for state park facilities across New York State. In many cases, that money is supplemented. In addition to the state capital budget, we have a number of friends groups that are fundraising and providing additional monies and leveraging those monies. So it's a great example of how we're improving the state park experiencing and engaging the public in that process.
This sounds like one of the biggest capital improvement programs in the state parks than in my memory.
I would have to agree, Tony. The governor has understood that state parks can be places to recreate. It improves the health of the New York State population. It's our the backyard for New York State parks. It's where we gather and we celebrate. And it's also, I think, and the governor fully understands that these are spots in New York State that attract visitors, and in many cases, some of these parks are located in smaller communities, and people are coming to visit these smaller communities because of the state park that's in their village or town.
This is mostly an infrastructure improvement program, and it's fantastic and sorely needed. There is an environmental stewardship component, isn't there? There are like some of the projects and some of the funding and so forth goes in that direction.
Yeah, great question. So we do use part of the monies that we receive from Parks 2020 to support stewardship and management of invasive species and some environmental programs. We conducted a controlled burn on a grassland up at Ganondagan last year for the first time to help manage some invasive species, and it was actually a practice that was used by the Seneca in some of their land management to preserve their growing areas and grasslands.
Oh, wow.
We're working with a number of invasive species, and we have strike forces out there working on hemlock woolly adelgid and ash borer to identify trees that have been affected and monitor them and come up with some prevention programs. So yes, we do use some of these monies not only for construction but for environmental concerns, and also part of that is public outreach and education, so that when we are engaging with these sorts of environmental projects, that we also use it as an opportunity to educate the public about what we're doing and what's taking place with these invasives.
Is the trail crew program, the trail improvement program that Zach has been heading up, is that part of the Parks 2020 as well?
There's probably a little bit of money that comes from materials, but all of the staffing costs is being borne through our normal operating budget.
Right. Using some of the Excelsior Conservation Corps people, and let's see, what is it? What's that intern program in the summer? I'm blanking.
Forces.
Yeah, there's Forces. That's a volunteer program, right?
And the
SCA, Student Conservation Association. Yeah, those are other resources. So it sounds like there's a lot of resources being brought together from different places, from the state budget, from the operating budget, from some of these volunteer programs and other associations and friends groups to get a lot done in parks. So that's a really positive direction in contrast with some of the things that have been happening on the federal level.
Well, I think Commissioner Rose Harvey, State Parks Commissioner Rose Harvey, has managed some of the challenges by trying to turn them into opportunities. And some of the operational challenges have caused us to look at other ways to deliver programs, to engage the public in different ways, and to build these supplemental programs that help to ensure that we're delivering the best experience we possibly can in state parks.
Right. Well, that's fantastic. We're really looking forward to hearing about new things that may be coming up this year as well.
Well, check in a couple of weeks. I think we'll have some exciting announcements. We're enjoying the winter weather as we've got it right now, but before you know it, we'll be staffing up and getting ready for summer 2018.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Fred.
Thank you very much, Tony. Have a great 2018, and look forward to talking to you a little bit later in the year.
Yeah, okay.
All right, well, that was very nice of Fred Bonn to give me that time this morning unannounced. So, yeah, great things are happening, a great commitment now to state parks, more than when I was working there so many years ago. And it's great to see things continue as they have. On the federal level, however, things are quite different, perhaps and going in the opposite direction, that parks have been taking a big hit from the Trump administration. And the National Parks and Conservation Association has been taking the lead, one of the leads anyway, in addressing that. You can find out a lot more about them, actually, if you go to their website. I think you can maybe see it up there, npeca.org. National Park Conservation Association. I've been a member of that over the years. But anyway, they put together a list of, actually a total list of about 30 different impacts that the Trump administration has had, negative impacts on our national parks, And, they've been working for a long time, for almost a century, National Parks Conservation Association, to advocate for and protect our parks and help create new parks. So we're going to take a look at a quick video where they summarize some of the things that are going on, and then maybe I'll try to look at them, a couple of them in a little more detail that they outline. So right here, this just cover picture here, while I queue up their short video they've produced, is Grinnell Glacier, one of 25 remaining glaciers in Glacier National Park, where the glaciers are melting because of climate change. I actually tried to hike up to that glacier back in 1966, and with a college buddy. And we didn't get to the glacier because we almost got wiped out by an avalanche, but that's another story. So let's take a look at this video here I've got coming up. Hopefully that's the one, yes. Coming up right here from the National Park Conservation Association. Okay. Well, let's see. Get back to my normal view here. So that's pretty discouraging. Obviously a lot of things, they were going so fast I couldn't read them all. But if you go to the website, you can look in more detail about some of these impacts are having. Actually 30 different things they list. But so I'm going to go over a few of them while we still have a few minutes left here of assaults on our national parks. And of course, many of our government agencies are taking a hit. It's a different set of values we're confronted with here with the Trump administration. They are looking at the interests of, I guess they call economic liberty, the interests of private money over the public good. So I'm going to go over a couple of them here. So this picture is about, okay, this is the first thing I listed in January. Short staffing of parks. Just days after taking office, President Trump issued a hiring freeze on federal civilian employees, including National Park Service staff, that lasted through mid-April. National parks already had 10% fewer rangers and other staff than they did a few years ago, despite contending with record-breaking crowds. And this temporary measure significantly hampered park staffing. So, number 2, on February 28th, rolling back water protections. President Trump issued an executive order to review the Clean Water Rule, leading to a June 27 decision to repeal the rule. The rule provides clear and predictable protections for many streams, wetlands, and other waterways that are essential to the health of our parks and communities. This is in the Everglades. Okay, the next one here. Okay, this is pictures from Environmental Action. March 28th, prioritizing energy production over park protection. This one was a doozy. President Trump issued a sweeping executive order on, quote, energy independence, unquote, with numerous negative consequences for public lands. It ordered, among other things, the Department of the Interior to review safety and enforcement standards that protect more than 40 national parks from the impacts of oil and gas drilling inside their boundaries. The Environmental Protection Agency to withdraw and rewrite rules that mandate power plants limit carbon dioxide. The federal agencies to no longer consider the effects of climate change when deciding whether to issue permits for fossil fuel production. Both the EPA and the Bureau of Land Management to delay enacting standards to reduce methane pollution from oil and gas operations. So that's not so good. April 5th, number 4, pumping water out of the desert. The Department of Interior took steps that could lead to the approval of the controversial Cadiz Incorporated groundwater mining proposal, a destructive project that would pump 16 billion gallons of water per year from the Mojave Desert, affecting Mojave National Preserve and Mojave Trails National Monument. This is a photo of an endangered desert tortoise. Endangered desert tortoise sitting in the middle of an eastern Mojave Desert road near Ivanpah, California. Okay, let's go on to the next photo here. Number 5. We probably won't get through all of these. Attacking national monuments. President Trump issued an executive order requiring Department of the Interior to review 27 national monuments designated by the Antiquities Act, going as far back as 1996 to recommend potential changes. This is the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument in Utah. It's about the size of the state of Delaware. One of the best-known features is a host of toadstool-like rocks littering the landscapes. A lot more to say about that national monument reduction, rollback, sad thing. 6, April 28th in 2017, opening more land to drilling. And in this case, they're talking about underwater land. President Trump issued an executive order calling on the Department of Interior to consider granting energy developers access to areas previously closed to offshore oil and gas drilling, threatening coastal parks and marine wildlife. It also calls on Department of Commerce to refrain from designating or expanding any national marine sanctuary until it is evaluated for energy resource potential and to review any marine sanctuaries or monuments established over the last 10 years. Okay, let's go on to another here. Allowing power lines at Jamestown. The Army Corps of Engineers granted a permit for Dominion Virginia Power to build 17 giant transmission towers across the river, James River. The project would permanently mar historic Jamestown, site of the country's first permanent English settlement. And I was there a few years ago, the year that would have been 2007, which was the 400th anniversary of the founding of Jamestown. So this is actually the site. Okay, go on to the next here. August 31st, ignoring climate change in park management. The National Park Service rescinded Director's Order 100. This order, enacted in 2016, directs the agencies to use comprehensive science-based management practices to combat climate change, biodiversity loss, invasive species, pollution, and other threats to national parks. By repealing the measure, the agency is removing scientific considerations from its management practices. See what else I can do here. October 10, repealing the Clean Power Plan. The Environmental Protection Agency moved to repeal the Clean Power Plan, comprehensive plan to reduce emissions from energy development and improve conservation measures to combat climate change, the number one threat to national parks. And this picture shows the reduction of one of the glaciers in Glacier National Park over the years due to climate warming. So, and number 10, we'll get through this. On the recommendation of Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke and Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah, President Trump signed proclamations removing protections from more than 2 million acres of national monument land at Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante National Monuments, opening up previously protected land to potential drilling, mining, and logging. So that's been in the news a lot. Okay, well, that's about all I got time for today. So if you want to find out more, you can go to the npca.org website of National Parks and Conservation Association. So thanks for joining me. Now I invite you to turn off this screen, and I know it's very cold out there, but go out for a walk in the park.